Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in for another show. Welcome to all of our members, subscribers, and viewers from all across the world. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a couple of subjects. One of the most important things is the leak that we had just in the last couple of hours coming from the United States that was reported in Axios. And Axios is saying that there is a very high likelihood that this leak is indeed accurate and authentic about the specific activities of Israel in preparation for an attack in Iran and what that means. I also want to talk to you about the targeted assassination of Benjamin Netanyahu, not the attack on his house. Some people are saying it's an attack on Netanyahu's house. This was a targeted assassination against Benjamin Netanyahu and the meanings behind that too, alongside a couple of other things. And of course, after that, I will open the space up for the community for your participation and questions and comments as usual. But firstly, we're going to start off with this. So not only did we have this attack on Benjamin Netanyahu's house, firstly, Netanyahu's house has been a target for many months now. Firstly, Israelis attacked Benjamin Netanyahu's house. They tried to storm in Netanyahu's house today. When there were reports about Iran or Hezbollah trying to attack Netanyahu's house, Israelis started saying, I hope he was there. The Israelis, I wish he was there so he can feel what we feel. I wish he was there so we can get rid of him. Like they were saying, we wish it was him in the helicopter when Ibrahim Raisi was killed in the helicopter crash. These are the Israelis, ladies and gentlemen, not people from outside of Israel. No, Israelis wishing their prime minister death. And we have an increase in the protests when it comes to Israel. Now, if you want to know how this drone reached Benjamin Netanyahu's house, these are some of the scenes. Look at this. This is one of the Hezbollah drones, right? Being chased by an Israeli helicopter over Haifa. Look at this.
حيفا في وقت تشهد المنطقة تحليقا لطائرات حربية تبحث عن المسيرات. يعني من الواضح أن المروحية الإسرائيلية التي تطير وعلى يسارها كما نتابع الطائرة المسيرة.
Can you see this over here? This is the drone, and this is the Israeli helicopter trying to take it down, and it can't because the Israeli air defense systems are unable to intercept the drones from Hezbollah, so they're sending helicopters and fighter jets trying to intercept them. Look, the Hezbollah drone is still moving and the helicopter can't take it down.
يبدو أنها أطلقت من لبنان. إذن هذه المشاهد هي من خليج حيفا قبل قليل تظهر مروحية إسرائيلية.
Here we go, and now the siren started to work, but the Hezbollah drone is going away. It's flying. No one can stop it.
ودوية صفارات الإنذار ومسيرة. لم تنجح الدفاعات الجوية ولا الطيران الحربي الإسرائيلي ولا هذه المروحية التي نتابعها في الصورة.
And they were unable to intercept it. Look.
إذن هذه الصور نتابعها اضطرادها أو إسقاطها.
Again, the Hezbollah drone coming. Israel unable to intercept it by the Iron Dome, no air defense systems, and not even with a helicopter at the same height. This is how desperate Israel's situation is against the drones coming from Hezbollah and from other parts from the resistance fronts.
من خليج حيفا قبل قليل.
And there it goes. That was only one of the drones that Hezbollah sent today to Benjamin Netanyahu's house. And we've had footage released from the attack on Benjamin Netanyahu's house. And like I said, this is not the first time his house has been attacked, but not in this manner. And I want to show you something very important. If we look at the actual images here, if you look at this footage, this is Benjamin Netanyahu's house. Look where the drone hit. The drone, clearly, it wasn't a drone that was too big. It wasn't just intended to hit the building. It was intended to go through the windows. But what do we have next to the windows? 2 trees, and the windows are clearly bulletproof and explosion proof. So this is a targeted assassination. This is not an attack against Benjamin Netanyahu's house. This is a targeted assassination, meaning Hezbollah or anyone behind this, and it's most likely Hezbollah, but Netanyahu and Israel are blaming Iran, and I'll get to that in a second, because they want to increase the tone before they attack Iran. They know when Netanyahu is in his house. They know Netanyahu's movements. They know when he's sitting there and can potentially be targeted. This is next level intel coming from Hezbollah against Benjamin Netanyahu and anyone supporting them behind that. They know how the man moves. No wonder several months back, Netanyahu's security team tightened up the security belt around him. The manager of his security team, what did he say? Netanyahu cannot move unless I authorize. He can't move freely anywhere unless I authorize his movement. Meaning, well, there's a breach. Where is that breach coming from? It's coming from Israel. The other day, we had a report in Israel. 3 Israelis, one of them from Ukrainian origin, were spying to Iran, spying for Iran, and they were imprisoned. So, the resistance has eyes in Israel, and the eyes are Israeli eyes. And there's more than one Israeli who would like to see Netanyahu going down. Many people in Israel would like to see him down to a level where they're giving information to Hezbollah and Iran and Hamas and. That's the level of Israel now. People hate Netanyahu so much that they are willing to collaborate with the worst enemies of Israel. This is the level that we reached. And if we look at this video,
لمنزل نتنياهو، هذه الصور التي نشاهدها على الشاشة من قيصرية.
This is his house from the top view. This is not in the moment that it was attacked. It's not the same day. It was previous photo, because as you can see here, there is no damage. But this is to reflect where it's located and where the damage is on the window, because clearly the drone, again, is not meant to hit the house, it's meant to assassinate him. That's why he went out a few moments later, or a couple of hours later, excuse me, walking in an area that looks like this garden, saying that, he's fine and, he's not phased and acting like, I'm all right. And again, after that, we had Israelis protesting outside his house. What does that tell you? They don't sympathize with the man. They want him dead. They wish death upon him. More than anyone else, the Israelis inside of Israel, they are the people who are wishing death on Benjamin Netanyahu. So, if they were successful in this attack, well, that means the people would have been happy in Israel. And again, do you see any of that? And here you go. If you don't believe me, I'll share stuff with you. Here you go. Huh? That's a protest after Netanyahu's house was attacked. Look at that. So far, what do we know? We know that there are informants inside of Israel. Israel is giving info to Hezbollah and Iran to target their own prime minister because he's leading them to oblivion. What does that tell you indirectly? That many people inside of Israel have more faith in Iran and Hezbollah and Hamas and the resistance than their own government. This is what we understand. If Israelis reached a level where they wish the death of their own prime minister, protesting and trying to barge in his house after he was attacked with a tight security belt around him, what does that tell you? Some Israelis now are having more faith in Iran, more faith in Hezbollah than Benjamin Netanyahu. And guess what? It doesn't take a lot. It's their government committing a genocide, and the others, they're targeting the military bases. What does that tell some of the Israeli people, at least some of the Israeli people, right? That, no, I trust these people more than I trust my own government. So they're protesting against him after this was carried out. And we again have massive protests in Israel. Today we started seeing the big numbers again back in Israel. You're talking about bigger and bigger numbers. So it's not working. Calling for what? Withdraw from Gaza immediately. They started saying, not just to reach a deal, withdraw from Gaza, they're saying, end the war, reach a deal. So they're asking their army withdraw from Gaza. They previously just wanted a deal, get our hostages back and all of that. Now, no, withdraw from Gaza, please, end the war and get the people back. Because again, they know that the government is selling its own people. So that was the first thing when it comes to Netanyahu. And now what? They're trying to blame Iran. We have reports that Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to blame Iran for the attack. A couple of networks online, a couple of websites posted this, that he is trying to blame them. Why is he trying to blame them? Well, he wants to legitimize further his attack, upcoming attack, potential attack against Iran. And now, what is the problem that he's facing? The leaks. Now we have a leak coming from Axios that people in the United States are leaking the planned attack on Israel, on Iran from Israel. This came on Axios. So, pro-Iranian account leaks alleged US intel on Israel's attack plans. But wait, before you think pro-Iranian, so it must be in their favor. Wait a second. US officials are extremely concerned about a potentially major security breach after two alleged US intelligence documents about Israel's preparations for an attack on Iran were published by a Telegram account affiliated with Iran. The alleged leak comes as Israel completes weeks of preparations for retaliation against Iran, which attacked Israel with a barrage of ballistic missiles on October 1st. The leak could be an attempt to disrupt the Israeli operation. The Pentagon and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence declined to comment on the leaked documents, but did not dispute their authenticity. A Telegram channel by the name Middle East Spectator claimed on Friday that it had received documents from a source in the US intelligence community about Israel's preparations for an attack on Iran. The Telegram channel routinely publishes pro-Iranian content, and the profile of the X account affiliated with the channel says it is located in Iran. The documents include an alleged visual intelligence report by the Department of Defense National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NGA, distributed inside the US intelligence community earlier this week. The authenticity of the documents has not been independently verified by Axios, but again, it hasn't been denied. The alleged report details measures that have been carried out in recent days at several Israeli Air Force bases, including the transfer of advanced munitions, which, according to the report, were intended for an attack in Iran. It also states that according to US signals intelligence, the Israeli Air Force conducted a large exercise this week involving intelligence planes and likely fighter jets trained for a possible attack against Iran. The alleged intelligence report also detailed preparations in Israeli drone units for an attack against Iran. The report, if accurate, could suggest a very close and detailed surveillance by US intelligence of Israel's preparations for an attack on Iran, including the use of satellites to spy on operations carried out at Israeli Air Force bases. The potential leak could be the sign of a security breach within the US intelligence community that resulted in top secret classified information reaching a Telegram channel affiliated with Iran. A US official told Axios that the alleged leak is extremely concerning, but that it doesn't believe that it will influence Israel's operational plans against Iran. Senior Israeli official said that the Israeli defense establishment is aware of the alleged leak and takes it very seriously. Means they are worried about the leak. They're not taking it lightly, proving to an extent that it's quite genuine. And again, look at the leak itself. It has many details here, you know. Air-launched ballistic missiles, the use of medium-range ballistic missiles potential, the risk, low, high. And again, that's the report summary here, top secret, TKFGI, ISR, RSEN, no foreign, the top secret stuff. And again, it's leaked. And they did not dispute its authenticity, according to the US intelligence, so it's most likely true. And again, it's mentioning the preparations of Israel. The preparations of the distance, of the refueling, similar to the preparations before they carried out the attack on Yemen, the type of fighter jets and bombers or refueling airplanes that are going to be used in the operation. Detailed stuff, meaning it's potentially very accurate. And again, no one denied the existence of it, and Israel is taking it very seriously. Israel is taking it very seriously. The question that arises here, who leaked it? It's most likely someone within the United States intelligence agency. That's why. I'll tell you why. Firstly, we had many examples previously of people in the intel communities in the United States leaking documents. It's not something new. Edward Snowden, other examples, of course. And recently, we've had people from the US security establishment resigning in protest over the US position when it comes to the genocide in Gaza. So there's a sentiment within the security establishment inside the US against what their own government is doing. So potentially, you're talking about certain people who haven't taken a stance to resign, but they're still inside, showing as if we are with our country. But, you know, if there's something that needs to be leaked that would be in favor of either increasing the war or against Israel, we'll leak it somehow. So it's very likely that this document is coming from an intelligence officer in the United States. And again, Israel is very worried about it. And if Israel is very worried about it, that means they're taking it very seriously. Then we had this from Egypt and the Emirates. What are Egypt and the Emirates doing? With their airplanes, let's see. Egypt and the Emirates ladies and gentlemen, are... Here we go. Look at that.
تنفيذا لتوجيهات السيد الرئيس عبد الفتاح السيسي رئيس الجمهورية القائد الأعلى للقوات المسلحة.
Following the orders of the Egyptian president and the leader of the armed forces, Egypt and the Emirates are having airdropped aid on the northern part of Gaza, meaning they're breaking the Israeli blockade.
المساعدات الإنسانية العاجلة عبر الجسر الجوي للأشقاء الفلسطينيين بقطاع غزة. أقلعت عدد من طائرات النقل العسكري المصرية والإماراتية من جمهورية مصر العربية محملة بعشرات الأطنان من المساعدات الغذائية ومواد الإغاثة العاجلة.
Again, many airplanes going from Egypt to North Gaza with tons and tons of aid for North Gaza that Israel's trying to starve to death and still preventing aid to go in.
لتنفيذ أعمال الإسقاط الجوي على شمال قطاع غزة، وذلك في ظل الأزمة التي يعاني منها الأشقاء الفلسطينيون بالقطاع من نقص في كافة الاحتياجات الإنسانية. يأتي ذلك في إطار استمرار الدور المصري الفاعل.
So it's basically there to cover all of the needs, medical, food, everything that they need on a day-to-day basis.
تعاون مع الدول الشقيقة والصديقة لتخفيف حدة الظروف المعيشية الصعبة التي يعاني منها الأشقاء الفلسطينيون جراء العمليات العسكرية بالقطاع.
So they're saying that it's part of a continuation to support our Palestinian brothers and sisters as a result of the operations that are happening inside of Israel. Good. Good. Why? Because at least something's going in. But, you know, good, but, you know, you can go. You can fly over. So why not land a couple of other things on the Israeli forces in Gaza? Does anyone share this sentiment with me? But again, you know, help the people. Good. Break the siege on Israel. But, you know, we expect more. And listen, Israel doesn't like this. I'm telling you from now. There's, of course, coordination, but they don't necessarily like it. And previously, even with the aid, they at one point did not approve. Let me tell you this. They did not approve Egyptian fighter jets, Egyptian airplanes dropping aid on Gaza. Yet despite that, Egypt went and continued to drop aid on Gaza. I'll tell you that. But again, we expect more. The Palestinian people have been suffering in this genocide for over a year now. And again, if you can drop aid to the Palestinian people, you can drop, you know, a couple of other things on the opposing side. And this is what I wanted to share with you in this live stream. Now, the most important thing is the potential of a coming attack on Iran. Now, this leak is intended to sticks in the wheels, right? Sticks in the wheels of an Israeli attack on Iran by revealing the Israeli preparations to the Iranian counterparts. And this is something that shouldn't be taken lightly. That means that although the administration in the United States is supporting Israel fully with what they need, clearly there are people in the establishment who refuse what their government is doing. And this is a significant thing. It's a very significant thing because these people could risk it with what they're doing. Of course, you're leaking information like that. That's a massive breach. That's a massive security breach. They can be imprisoned. So they're risking it by doing that. Don't underestimate the risk that certain people take, not by resigning, but by staying there with an opposing position to their own establishment and leaking information that would serve Iran. This is very, very important. I'll tell you that. And it doesn't look it's going to stop Israel from the attack on Iran, because Benjamin Netanyahu is still increasing the tone. He's still saying, no, it's Iran trying to kill me. What is he trying to justify? Going and assassinating the supreme leader of Iran, Sayyid Ali Khamenei? Go and try. Go and try and see what happens after that. But let me tell you one thing. More and more reports are coming from Iran that a full meal is prepared as a response to any Israeli aggression. So we're talking about very, very tense days. And what happened today with the attack or attempted assassination, to be more specific, again, you have a drone, small, targeting the window of Benjamin Netanyahu's house, most likely during his stay there, because he had to come out and prove himself afterwards, means that they have info and they try to target him directly. That means Netanyahu is exposed. And again, with the level of protests of Israelis, with the network of Iranian agents, Israeli agents working for Iran and Israel recently, people protesting, hoping that he was killed in the attack today, and protesting against him outside his house in Caesarea, means that this man is losing all protection now. If the people inside of Israel are willing to give that information, they've had enough of him to a level where they would give info to Iran and to Hezbollah. What's left? What is left? Your network of protection? That's not going to last you for a very long time. So he's thinking now that he is under protection and that he is totally secure. He's going ahead with his plan. He's creating this delusion in his mind and the minds of those surrounding him and the cult supporting him inside of Israel, that it's our era next, that's it. He's calling upon the other nations surrounding him, accept the era of blessing and ditch the era of curse. He's telling the people of Gaza, submit, that's it, now Sinwar left. But all that he's doing is increasing, firstly, the resistance, the love for the resistance, the image of heroism for the resistance, and Israelis now giving info to the resistance, Israelis against him. However, he will likely hit Iran. He will likely hit Iran because he still has support from the United States, and the administration officially still supports him. There's a core group within the genocide cartel that will still legitimize that and push for an attack against Iran. But that attack will lead to a response never seen before. Never seen before. Trust me, the Iranians, they're just waiting. They're just waiting for the moment where they would attack them so they can go all out. And this is what I wanted to share with you in this live stream. Let me open the space up for the community, for your participation. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Sailor Jerry Swallow, thank you so much for your super, and Stephen Burrows as well. Sailor Jerry Swallow said, bless Sinwar. Stephen Burrows said, Sinwar died like a lion. Netanyahu will not end his days with such honor. And Todd Williams, thank you for your super. And Ibrahim Basha, thank you so much for your super. He said, Sykes-Picot, Balfour Declaration, Camp David, Abraham Accords, Oslo are all over. The empire is sweating. Thanks, Mahmoud Basha, for all your work. Thank you so much, my brother Ibrahim Basha. Much appreciated. And I deeply agree with what you said there. I think indeed Sykes-Picot is changing. The post-World War II order is changing. The Balfour Declaration is dead. So the UK, the British Empire, they might as well start apologizing from now, before things get too much. Camp David is done. Abraham Accords and Oslo, hopefully very much rest in peace soon. I totally agree. And the empire sweating. Thank you so much for that. And Marion Tim, thank you. And Napweed, thank you for your super. You said the little drone that could, and many thousands still to come. Absolutely. Listen, Iran, they have millions of drones, not one or two. Iran has millions of drones, and they export drones. And the technology isn't just with Iran. The technologies now, well, Hamas, they had their own engineers creating drones. Hezbollah have their own engineers. And with the support of Iran, you're talking about technology available. This is the key thing here. It's not just the Iran supplying them ready. No, they have the tech to do that. They have the tech to do that. And Mystic Mother is saying, how are things on the Lebanon border? Well, Israel is deploying more forces on the Lebanese borders in an attempt to have a show of strength. What we had, though, and this is very important, as a result of the attack on Benjamin Netanyahu's house today, almost immediately after that, we had we had the attacks on the southern suburb of Beirut, Al-Dahya al-Janubiyya, that is considered to be a Hezbollah hub, intensifying. So they started to attack the southern suburb of Beirut again. Meaning, well, the equation that they were talking about before changed, and now they are again attacking the southern suburb. And then when it comes to the South Lebanon situation, Israel is suffering tremendously in South Lebanon. What are they doing? Firstly, they have approximately 70,000 troops. They don't declare the exact numbers, but based on the number of divisions that they have there, Division 36, Division 98, they introduced 2 more divisions and a few other brigades. We can assume that it's over 50,000, 70,000. Meaning, one, they're trying to intimidate and show like a very strong position. Secondly, if they're actually planning to implement stuff with them, they have a far bigger plan than the South. And by the way, the plans of Israel in South Lebanon are the same as Gaza. We have Israelis now saying that we have 3 options in South Lebanon: depopulating the area, having a military rule, and they have other options to take away the population. But the preferred method is mass expulsion. You need to realize that very carefully. They want to repeat the same thing. And now they're with the increased choking of northern Gaza, they are proving that they really want to choke the people to death as much as possible. They will declare Lebanon an area that you need to completely evacuate very soon. Southern Lebanon, excuse me. But what's happening is they are trying to portray this show of strength in South Lebanon by invading, slightly in certain areas, taking pictures next to a couple of municipalities, and they're running back away. And in many cases, Hezbollah targets them and buries them. So the cost is very expensive. But again, they're trying. However, they are facing fierce resistance. Hezbollah are targeting them inside Israeli territory. So Hezbollah, well, they have knowledge on Netanyahu and where he moves. So when they have knowledge on the Israeli forces just next to the border, they are targeting soldier gatherings and tank gatherings of their divisions and forces within Israeli territory. So they'll have a barrage of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 missiles on them when they're still in Israel. The level of damage being inflicted on them is beyond anyone's imagination. The helicopters taking troops back and forth to hospitals is non-stop. So they are suffering massively, but again, you have a lot of censorship. And it doesn't look like it's going to stop them. Why? Because the position of Netanyahu is still the same. What is Netanyahu's position? The continuation of the war, the expansion of the war. So long as he's in power and he has this agenda, you will expect expansion. And Manu Shahr said, Mahmoud, what if the drone was propaganda from Israel to legitimize their attack against Iran? Israel does not need propaganda to legitimize an attack against Iran, my friend. Israel doesn't need anything. Whenever there's nothing and a way to de-escalate, they'll go and create another problem. Israel always pokes and stirs more problems. They don't need anything. What happened so that they can go and kill Haniya and Tahran? We were in the middle of the negotiating progress after Hamas accepted the ceasefire. Why did you go and kill him there? Here they want to escalate. Why did you go and target certain figures inside of Lebanon? They want to escalate. In Beirut, they want to escalate. Every time we reach a de-escalation, they escalate. Why? Because this is how they were brought up. This is their project. Expansion. They don't necessarily, I mean, the reason he would have said Iran now is probably to legitimize further. But Israeli media and mass garbage media have been talking for so long against Iran, Iranophobia, like their Islamophobia and Arabophobia 24/7. So it's not like, you know, they need to do a lot. They've been telling us about it for so long, right? So now it's just extra. But again, he doesn't need it. Even without that happening, they already said they were going to target Iran. They already said that. So they don't really need a lot more to go against Iran. And again, it's not just Iran. If you can argue that, well, okay, it's my house, so that means I want to target the supreme leader of Iran also. They already said we're going to target them, and you're next, and this and that. So it's they don't necessarily need the reason, because they always escalate without reason. If you look at the pattern way before the 7th of October, even since 1948 and before 1948, you will only see that these people expand time after time, non-stop, and without any excuses as well. And let's go to your next comment. Marvin, assuming Trump gets in, you think he will try to revive the Abraham Accords? Look, the Abraham Accords are in deep stuff. Do you think everything is like fine with the United Arab Emirates, for example? No. They've already created problems with them for several times. And with this type of vibe, with this situation, well, Biden already offered Netanyahu a deal with Saudi Arabia. What is Trump going to do? Trump wanted to seal the deal with Saudi Arabia, and he failed. He failed to seal the deal with Saudi Arabia, right? Why did he fail? Clearly, there were still things that haven't been met by the Saudis. Demanding from Israel. So what is he going to do now? It's not like Trump is a magician or anything. He likes to play it too much. And you said, what nation would be involved after this genocide and Lebanese attack? I'm not entirely sure what that means. What nation would be involved after this genocide and Lebanese attack? But if you mean the potential of an increased regional war, then of course the current fronts will still be active, but don't expect other fronts to participate unless they're directly attacked, or what they deem as their sovereignty being targeted would give them an excuse to go to war. And H. Lukil, thank you very much for your super, much appreciated. Marvin, also the 70K troops you referred to, you mean in Lebanon or the Lebanese borders, on the Lebanese borders next to them? What percentage are reservists versus career experienced soldiers? Approximately half and half reservists versus, because the two additional divisions that they brought in were divisions of reservists, as far as I remember. Division 36 and 98 are active divisions, alongside a couple of other brigades that would include both as well, from Gaza. And thank you for that, my friend. And PCNAC, thank you for that. You said if the Palestinians go to get the dropped aid, watch the IOF attacking them. Yeah, that happened many times. Can you share more about the Israel leaks to Iran? I said the majority of the things I have to say. You can rewind to the beginning of the video. The leaks, in summary, are leaks coming from the United States that appear to be extremely valid about the preparations coming from Israel to attack in Iran, what they're doing, the weapons that they're using, their Israeli Air Force preparations, refueling preparations, the similarities between them and their preparations with Yemen that indicate that indeed we're very close to that situation, and they date back just a few days back, meaning that they are most likely very accurate. And again, the United States did not deny their authenticity, and Israel is viewing them, taking them very seriously. And again, meaning that it could be someone well within the American intelligence community. And again, I said, because there's already a sentiment, a growing sentiment within certain people from the establishment based on previous resignations and constant criticism that do not like what their country is doing, but are staying there to try and see if they can do something to stop the insanity, clearly. And Irene, thank you so much for your super. Says, salam and everyone bless you for all your kindness and humanity. Tomorrow, 12 October, we have a nice banquet here in Brussels, Belgium at 4 CT. You're all welcome to have a picnic with us. Our dua with you, please do dua. Thank you so much, Irene. And that's the message for, of course, anyone wanting to attend. And let's go to the next one. Note is saying the recent GCC meeting with the European Union was held with an anti-Iranian statement. Suppose they were supposed to do something to pressure Israel. Listen, Europe is a failed continent at an administration level. The EU states, NATO, and they're all poodles of the United States administration. It's not like they have independence and sovereignty. Elitists who have the typical racist and neo-colonialist supremacist attitude towards the whole world. Arrogant, you know, a vast history of colonialism and expansionism and enslavement. Still having the same approach and still viewing Iran as the United States and the Zionists want you to view Iran. Why? Because Iran does not submit to their will. Iran is independent. Iran is self-sufficient. Iran is strong. Iran is supporting human rights by actions, not just words. And they are the bravest country officially in its entirety, not disputed. Like, for example, the Yemeni government, you have two governments and what have you, and the other resistance fronts, you're talking about movements within the country rather than the actual government. A country with its entirety embracing and supporting the resistance. So you can call Iran the country of the resistance. And that's quite a rare thing to happen, a country resisting. So, of course they take that position. But again, what are they going to do exactly? Have another coalition? You had a coalition in Afghanistan and Iraq, and you were humiliated. And so many of your troops died for corporate greed and military-industrial complex profiteering. And you went out humiliated and gave your enemies perks, like Taliban, you know. They're no longer terrorists. You can go and send them money now. You can channel weapons to Taliban from other countries. That's what happened with them, Taliban, because they defeated them in Afghanistan. So what did your troops die for? Remind me. What do the people suffering to this day from these unnecessary wars suffer from exactly? Implementing equality and human rights in Afghanistan, and likewise with Iraq too. And Ming Laib, thank you. Pakistan for Palestine. And Mahib, Salam Mahmoud, is the Israeli economy continuing to collapse? Also, why are they so insistent to attack Iran? The Israeli economy is continuing to collapse, from big businesses to medium-sized businesses to small businesses. The decrease in the Moody's ranking by 3 grades and the projection of a further decrease and a negative projection overall. Now they're at a position of one level above investment worthy, meaning they're at the lowest of the low in their history. For the first time in history, they're digging into the national reserves of the Bank of Israel. You're talking about a dire situation. people having nothing. They don't have uncertainty with everything in the state. It's total chaos in Israel, and you will not hear that on mainstream media. Again, the level of situation that you have in Israel. And why are they so insistent on attacking Iran? Because they're the spoiled little bee child of the US, of the US administration. And, you know, they are enabled. And Netanyahu wants to drag everyone into a regional and global war. Why? Because at the end of it, it would be as he succeeded in recruiting some genocidal entities with him after he committed a genocide. And that would help him establish Israel as the new superpower in this region, and by default, a massive statement from the United States, in particular towards Russia and China. And Matlas X, thank you very much. I assume that these more powerful weapons that Iran claims to have based on the kinetic energy from their hypersonic. Again, they said they haven't revealed them, and they said that they will keep it a secret, top secret, but you know that they're effective. Lucky Home Recordings. Marhaba wa tashakkur Mahmoud. Afwan wa ahlan wa sahlan. Thank you very much for your super, much appreciated. And also Marvin Burgess, thank you. You said my drone super slow, not sophisticated, on target. Again, I'm not sure what that means. If you have a drone, I don't know. But thank you for that. And Mo the Crow just got here, brother. The North Iron Dome is failing and they are running out of shells. This is part of the strategy of Hezbollah. Drain the living daylight out of Israel's Iron Dome. Now, with the constant attacks, not just in the most northern parts of occupied Palestine, but in occupied Haifa, reaching up to occupied Jaffa, central, northern. So, how many shells does Israel have, number one? And how long can they sustain that? And what will they do? What will they do if or when? When is becoming more relevant now than if. Hezbollah, potentially supported by the other resistance fronts and Iran, decide to wage a very large attack on Israel. What is that going to do? I'll tell you what that's going to do. That's going to cause disaster with the shorter range rockets and missiles from Hezbollah. Everything will be destroying stuff. And no protection whatsoever from the hypersonics coming simultaneously. Meaning total destruction. And again, what are they going to do? This thought is not going to do anything. And Manu Shahar as well, thank you so much. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on all of us, especially Palestinian brothers and sisters from your Afghan brother in the US. Much appreciated, my brother, and peace and blessings upon you. And thank you so much for your super, much appreciated. Saeed Abdi, how close do you think we are to World War III? Well, we're very close to a potential World War III. And I think that the prospect of that war starting, and there's an argument that we can say that we are witnessing a non-nuclear world war in the making. Many countries fighting many countries on multiple fronts. Can we ignore the fact that behind Ukraine stands NATO and US, and behind Russia stand China, North Korea, and Iran and other countries. Can we deny that? No. So there's something shaping. So there's an argument that it's a soft World War III without nuclear bombs. The level we are close to the use of nuclear bombs, I think it's because people affiliate World War III with the use of nuclear bombs, by the way. Although that's not necessarily the case. A world war can happen without nuclear bombs. Don't forget that. You don't have to always tie World War III with nuclear bombs. But with that, well, the prospect and potential of a nuclear bomb use is very high. The United States and the NATO are pushing Zelensky to go and attack nuclear facilities in Russia. What does that tell you? That tells you how reckless they are and how careless they are about security and international security and international order. All of the recycled words they constantly repeat time after time. Kashmiri vlog saying, brother, do you think Turkey will leave NATO? Doesn't appear that they have an interest in leaving NATO at the moment. I think they have taken certain steps that the NATO might have been uncomfortable with, but not to a level where NATO deemed them as worthy of expelling Turkey. That's number one. Number two, well, there isn't a massive shift officially. Yeah, they talk a little bit differently than NATO members. We know that. And traditionally, by the way, when they were in NATO, they haven't always taken the political stance of NATO, like with the war on Iraq. They didn't take the same stance. In Afghanistan, even with the NATO, they weren't actively fighting forces. So there are differences, of course, but they are still in the organization. Now, if things start to escalate further and you need to align, you just need to align, that's it. Listen, Europe doesn't want Turkey because they're a Muslim country. How many times did Erdogan try to join the EU? And then the French president told him at one point, the EU is a Christian organization and we don't want a Muslim country. So it was well known, by the way. So if it reaches the pivotal moment where there's just like alliances and that's it, and listen, we're seeing certain progress on that front. Turkey is increasing or having this reconciliation with Egypt, with Syria, with Russia. Well, they've had this on and off relationship, but it's, there. So you can see that happening at one point. But it's not necessarily imminent. That's what I would say. And Venetian wine, thank you so much. Much appreciated. HB, thank you so much for your comment and welcome, my brother. Thank you so much for that. And thank you everyone else as well for your participation, all of your comments. Of course, we can't share all of them. And greed, why can't one Pakistan and Afghanistan join the fight? Their brothers and sisters need them. Do you think Turkey will leave NATO? Turkey will leave NATO. We just spoke about that. Why won't Pakistan, first to start with Pakistan. Pakistan has massive ties with the army of Pakistan, was in effect controlling the country with the United States. That doesn't mean they can't have certain alliances or support Iran and have dealings with China and what have you, but it's not likely unless again, it escalates to that level. And Afghanistan doesn't have the capacity, the capabilities to participate in something big, apart from some minor stuff. And again, the minor stuff are not things that are required and the fronts don't have. Do you understand? Like men or, light weapons and what have you. I mean, the Americans did leave them a lot of helicopters, by the way, and some weapons. It's interesting. So United States went to fight Taliban only to leave 20 years later and give them weapons and not label them as terrorists anymore and enable everyone to support Taliban. Paul Ambrose, does the S-400 radar detect F-35s at all? Do the Iranians need to train the radar? The S-400 and other air defense systems and radars have the capacity to detect the F-35s, just that the F-35 has the capacity to keep itself undetected for a very long time. And do the Iranians need to train the radar? Well, they would use multiple methods with the radars, including having a secondary radar. Why? Because in event of an attack, fighter jet attack or offensive, what they would try and do is take down the radars so that they neutralize them so that they can become undetectable. Therefore, countries like Iran and other countries too would resort to using a secondary radar to detect, to avoid using the main battery's radar, if that makes sense, and then target the F-35. But in an event of an Air Force attack against Iran, firstly, it's going to have to be very intense to even have remote success. Secondly, it's not going to be 100% accurate, and there's potentially going to be losses on both sides. However, in my opinion, the losses might be more on the attacking side, and the risk might be more elevated on the attacking side rather than the defending side for multiple reasons. Number one, the size of Iran. So you need to be like, what would you want to attack exactly? You're not going to attack whole of Iran all of a sudden unless you're getting hundreds of fighter jets all at once. This is something that requires a global front, not just an Israeli one. Then you would need to be as undetected as possible on your way. You need to make sure the refueling is fine. You need to make sure any country you're flying above isn't going to do something against you or help the Iranians in one way or another. And you're going to be open to get a lot of damage in the country that you're going to be fighting. Second, and another thing is you're going to have to secure your what? The places that you launched your fighter jets from. Because if you go and depart from multiple bases in Israel and Iran knew, or other bases, well, you know, it's not like Iran doesn't have detection capabilities. They will know and they will go and target them. So, okay, what if Iran targets them when those F-35s or F-15s or whatever, 16s are on their way to attack or on their way back or whatever? Where are they going to land? There's nowhere to land. Where are you going to land? On the motorway in Israel? And if you're going to have to land somewhere else, well, Iran can consider that other place a target. Meaning, well, you put in all of that country at the risk of being eliminated by hypersonic missiles. So it's a very complicated thing. But again, the Israelis are not seeing properly. As a matter of fact, it's as if they were blinded by this divine intervention to lead them to make such grave mistakes only to hasten their demise. This is what I'm seeing. What in the world, TV? Do you think these leaked docs are a trap to trigger Iran? No, I think Iran, they are very controlled and calculated, and they are very reasonable. I don't think they will be dragged into a certain reaction to just reports. They said it ended, and they told them, if you respond, we will respond violently or in a very harsh manner. But again, the Israeli side is seeming totally blind. And Carol Domian, thank you so much for that. And let's go to your next question. A perceived reality, that is so accurate. Instead of arming Ukraine, Taiwan, fascist Israel use taxpayer money should be spent on infrastructure, healthcare, education, homelessness. You see, that's the thing here that we always say. They are paying with tax. They're in effect what you have. State theft in the form of taxation, stealing money under the term foreign aid. What's foreign aid? Foreign aid is an imaginary term reiterated by the state to justify the theft of people's money to be spent on wars that serve the military-industrial complex and grows their pockets bigger. That's what it is. So they have $750 to send to the hurricane survivors in the US. People considering committing suicide because they have lost everything. But they have hundreds of billions to send to Zelensky and Netanyahu. What? Do they prefer the Israelis and Ukrainians? No. It's not about the Israelis or the Ukrainians or the Americans. It's about the people profiteering. Do you think they care about the Americans? Like you said, if they care about the Americans, they'll spend the money on these things. Golden Sun, hello from A2 Michigan. Yahya Sinwar refused to live on his knees, literally went down swinging. Yeah, Yahya Sinwar, ended his journey fighting. The Badger, Salam Mahmoud, do you believe the leak might be a fake one to detract from the true plan? Also, Emirates and Egypt drawing in North Gaza, they're collaborators. Do you trust the intention? Firstly, with the first one, not the Iranians are trusting that. I think the Iranians would have everything prepared for an attack. They're not going to look at that and say, oh my God, here's the Israeli plan revealed. They don't think that. They don't operate that way. And you might have a very intensive attack. It might be an attack not related at all to the things described, but it's a leak. It's a leak that appeared to be very accurate, and they take that into consideration. Other part, Emirates and Egypt dropping aid onto North Gaza. Like I said, aid is good. And with regards to the intention, I have no idea about the intention of anyone. All I can say is I can tell you what I think based on certain actions. And what did we say? If they can land aid to the people starving in Gaza, they can land other stuff on people committing genocide in Gaza. Tiqani Munsif, what is the difference between the Nazis and the Zionists? The Nazis were more merciful. Jahid Hussein, thank you so much. Bangladesh for Palestine, we believe in human rights. Much appreciated, my friend. Thank you so much for that. And greed, you're very right about that. Netanyahu's scared. They know where he lays at night. If that was indeed a targeted assassination, and it appears to be a targeted assassination, why? Because the pattern proves that the resistance has this capability, confirmed by Israelis, by the way, a UAV entering a residential area. They've done that. We've seen that. So they have the capacity to do that. However, the bigger question is, they have information about the movements of Netanyahu. Who's giving them that information? A very high likelihood that it's Israelis. Like I said, they just found an Iranian network in Israel, Israeli Jews sending info to Iran, being operatives for Iran, and Israelis wishing death for Netanyahu after the plane attacked him, like they wished death upon him when Raisi was killed in the helicopter crash. Israelis in their droves saying, I wish it was Benjamin Netanyahu. And then in the evening, they went and protested against them. And again, you can view the beginning of the live stream to see the videos that I was sharing where I elaborated further. Mahib, what will happen to the Iranian regime if the supreme leader is assassinated? The new president does not seem to be as forthcoming with continuing the war. Well, firstly, with regards to the comment on the president, I think there's a lot of talk about this president just to undermine, really, because he is viewed as, and he indeed is, a reformist. So meaning more liberal internal things to do with the civil society, which is perfectly normal and actually welcome in many cases. However, when it comes to the foreign affairs and stuff like that, they have the same approach. Not like the man is very supportive of the resistance. Under him, Iran carried out the biggest attack on Israel. Let's not deny that. And what will happen if the supreme leader is assassinated? They have people to replace them immediately. All of them. 1, 2, 3 people to replace him. Iran is a state with solid institutions. It had an 8-year war just after the formation, after the revolution. And again, it's not just that this government or this type of ruling government in Iran. Iran is thousands of years old. And taking down the supreme leader, what is it going to do? It's just going to bring someone else and just going to give them the final excuse to wipe the genocidal state. Give them that, be the final excuse. Took down the supreme leader, we will, that's it. You need to say goodbye to your entity. This is what they're going to do. Marvin, that's an interesting observation, and I spoke about that before, by the way. You think NATO is using Zelensky to strike Russia, then Israel can launch on Iran with hopes that Russia can't respond quick to Iran's aid. If anyone doesn't see that there is a link between what's happening now between Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, Iran, and Russia and Ukraine, you're not really seeing exactly what's happening. When did Zelensky go and attack inside of Russia? And something that's not very usual by the scale of the attack, the invasion of Kursk and the attack on the nuclear facilities. Just after Russia started sending their military warplanes to Iran to supply them with stuff, and Sergei Shoigu went and visited, meaning the United States wanted to send a message to Russia, don't meddle too much, don't support Iran. It didn't turn the support off. As a matter of fact, it increased the support. So Russia then sent more missiles and Iran sent Russia more missiles, and we had an increased coordination. But indeed, the United States is trying to keep Russia busy so that they do not have the capacity or energy to support Iran as much as possible. But the Russians, what do you think? They're stupid? They know exactly what they're doing. Plus, does anyone have any doubt that if Russia wanted tomorrow to end the war in Ukraine, they can end it? Do you have any doubt? They're choosing this way. They know what they're doing. What they're draining is the West. It's the Western economy that's collapsing. It's the Western states against each other. It's not Russia. Russia internally is solid and fine. He gathered the people around him. His economy, the ruble, is in sky high. The economy, perfect. It's the European states that are suffering, and to an extent the United States, but Europe more than the United States. Again, that's the level of stupidity in Europe. It's unbelievable when it comes to the policies being implemented. And again, deliberately to serve the elite rather than the population. But that's why you have more voices rising up. So it's definitely connected, but it doesn't seem to be affecting it. We didn't have a shift from Russia. No. As a matter of fact, no, the Belarusian Air Force commander went, and the visit of Shoigu to Iran followed the visit of Shoigu to North Korea. And North Korea and Russia have a defense pact. That defense pact enables them to pass things from North Korea to Iran too, because they're in a relationship, right? Again, ineffective. But it just shows how reckless the US is and its little puppets, going and attacking Russia and invading Russia and going to attack its nuclear facilities. What are you doing? What do you think you're doing? Salz or Mahmoud, do you have any idea why Israel is still slaughtering civilians even after badly defeated by Hamas? Well, firstly, there is a solid plan of Israel to ethnically cleanse Gaza that included mass slaughter. That's number one. So why? Because Israel was established on ethnic cleansing and mass killings and expulsion. However, Israel is very known to be responding in a hate-filled manner full of vengeance, so without really thinking, like the barbarism exactly after the Al-Aqsa flood happened. Does that make any sense? Well, 270 people from Israel were kidnapped to Gaza. Does it make any sort of sense to carry out any attack in Gaza? If you want to talk about due diligence and risk assessment and, does it make any sense? No. That's why there was a bigger plan, there was propaganda, there was lots of stuff. So, and they of course killed their own people, Israel. What are the people of Israel? The people of Israel are nothing but cannon fodder in this death machine. They're being chewed and killed. That's a machine that chews them up and spits them out. They're nothing but consumption stuff for this death cult. And this is how they're treating them. And with regards to the slaughter, they also thought that the slaughter of mass killings of Gaza will lead, firstly, the resistance and then the population to submit. Firstly, with the resistance, it only brought them stronger. And the unbelievable resilience of the Palestinian people, they continued to stay where they are and to support the resistance. Meaning Israel could not affect the social cohesion. They were betting on affecting the social cohesion. They tied themselves up with some fundamentalist movements in Gaza as well, with tribal movements. But the tribal movements came up with a statement: no, Israel, we will not be dealing with them. Anyone dealing with them is considered a traitor, not even when it comes to aid. And the only authority that has been elected in Gaza is Hamas. That frustrated Israel. And again, the guys are seeing through them. Firstly, you're talking about a population, 72% refugees before the 7th of October. So all of them know Israel. Why? Because they have been expelled from their land in occupied Palestine and being prevented from going back. So what am I going to believe you now? After I didn't believe you, and after I believed you and was fooled in 1948 and 1967? When you're telling me that this is the 2023 Nakba and I'm seeing what you're doing? No, not that. Come on, the people of Gaza are different. So they are still betting on that. They're trying to force it down by the starvation campaign. But again, I highly doubt that anything is going to be effective. Judith, salam alaikum, alaikum salam. War and death can continue, but Israel is falling economically. Thousands of workers are now soldiers, thousands of disabled, dead soldiers, etc. When will it end? Well, that's the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? When will it end? It doesn't appear that it's going to be ending anytime soon, judging by the pattern that we've seen so far from Netanyahu, and judging by what he's still doing now, although he's had many opportunities to come and end the war with an image of victory, not actual victory, but an image of victory. Why? Well, he killed Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, assassinated figures of Hamas. Now he assassinated Sinwar. So he can come up and say, well, look, I destroyed Gaza, I destroyed South Lebanon, I affected them, I targeted the top figures, and now it's time to reach a ceasefire because I killed all of my enemies. He can say that, can't he? But he's not doing it. Why is he not doing it? Because there is a bigger plan. That bigger plan is genuinely imposing the will of the United States through Israel in the region and dictating what's going to happen for the next century. And again, create a new precedent. If you mess with Israel, you're going to get destruction. Mess with our little state, you get an expanded state. This is the message that Israel wants. Dare to attack Israel, we will have a greater Israel. This is what they're trying to do. But they're not calculating properly. And it doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon. Francis Fitzgerald, dumb question, does Iran have an air force? Yes, an air force, but not an advanced air force. Their strategic military capabilities, they've based their strategic military capabilities based on missiles. And internally, I'm saying missiles, very, very strong missiles and drones and air defense systems. Unlike Israel, that views its strategic strength as the air force. Fighter jets and, again, defense systems from missiles. But with Israel, their excuse is the fact that it's more cost effective. That's a lie. The only thing is that it's the biggest market for the U.S. military industrial complex. That's why they have the fighter jets, and they're expensive. One fighter jet worth billions, and a helmet worth $500,000. You know how much money is involved in that? Okay, we'll take the last couple of questions before we leave. And let's see. And I'm sorry, by the way, if I'm not reaching the latest questions, because I'm doing it from the top to the bottom, meaning I'm checking the ones that were sent about 15 minutes ago. But we'll take a couple of more ones. And again, thank you so much for all of you who are participating, and apologies for not taking many of the questions. Let's see what we have. And Jimmy's saying, is it true that IDF has 70,000 troops against of 100 or hundreds Hezbollah special forces? Yes, that's true. But they're not deploying all of them. The IDF is losing bad in Lebanon from what we hear. That's true, from what we hear and from what we see. And Hezbollah are targeting them inside of Israeli territory as well. It's not as if, all of them are in Lebanon, right? So you're talking about a situation very difficult inside of Israel already. Unfunny, thank you for that. I said, well, they had nuclear oil before 2024, World War III 24. They could at any given moment, and don't think that they would consider the US elections as well, because some people are saying that, no, they would consider, and waiting for Trump and Netanyahu. He's already done so many things, not necessarily in line with what the United States administration wants. And Jabo Ebro, thank you, said, I think the leaked document is potentially leaked by the US. Again, maybe, but I don't think Iran is relying on that. Don't forget that. I don't think Iran is relying on the fact that, oh, this was released and there we go. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay, we'll finish up with this question here. Muhammad Salim Mahmoud, where do you see Gaza in the future? I see Gaza as the center, the regional center of glory in the region in the future. I think Gaza will be a place where people perform pilgrimage. Any truth-seeking person who loves freedom and justice and liberty will go to Gaza just to smell the air that's from Gaza and try and understand the secrets of Gaza. And who are these people? Who are these people there that are changing the world? From the dirt of the refugee camps, from the suffering of the refugees, of the oppressed, of the bereaved, of the martyrs. Just have a smell of the air of Gaza to get a little bit more of honor and of anything noble on this earth. And that's what I think we will see in the future. We'll end it up there. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in for another show. Thank you so much for everyone who commented. Apologies if I haven't reached all of your comments, of course. Time is tight on us, but I do appreciate all of your participation. Thank you everyone who sent supers. Sorry if I missed some of your names or I even missed some of the contributions before, but thank you so much. Jalma and Jabo Ebro and Unfunny BD and Matlas X and Jahid Hussein, Ralph HUW Golden Sun, Carol Domian, Phoenician Wine, Manu Shahr, Marvin Vergus Lucky, Home Recordings and Matlas again, Ming Layip, Irene Z, RC Nak, H. Lukil, Nap Weed, Marion Thim, Ibrahim Basha, Todd Williams, Stephen Burrows, and Sailor Jerry Swallow. Thank you so much for all of your participation. And Yalma, by the way, said, are we seeing the end of Sykes-Picot? Yeah, we answered that. We are indeed seeing the end of Sykes-Picot. We're seeing a reshaping of the region. And it's gonna look different. It's gonna look different in the future. And we're talking about a new world order. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in again. Much appreciated as always. I'll hopefully be with you tomorrow. Might have another video after this as well. In the meantime, stay blessed, take care, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you soon in the next video. Peace, everyone.